FM 94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And this is a band that's no stranger to the dark, and for that matter, no stranger to rock radio. We're talking about Saving Abel. And normally I talk with Jason Null, but I figure I'd switch it up a little bit. And I'm going to talk with Scott today. And first of all, Scott, how are things going with you tonight?
Things are great, man. We're here in Boise, Idaho, about to play a show. We're taking a break from the first leg of the Make America Rock tour just ended, and we're so far away from home. We figured, why go home? We're going to play a few more shows on our own and then meet back up with the tour. So things are going great.
Let's talk about that tour a little bit, the Make America Great tour. How did the first leg go, and what was the excitement and the buzz out there from the crowd?
Man, it was overwhelmingly positive. I think the last show we just did probably had definitely more than 5,000 people. And that was the premise. It was Chris from Trapped talking to me, and he was like, man, we're all playing the same markets. It's almost like we're competing. What if we just all banded together and we had 7 national acts go just dominate the entire U.S.? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And we made it happen. So all of us are just it's all these bands that have known each other for years and years and years, and we're all reuniting for the first time in quite a while. So you can imagine it gets pretty crazy, in a good way.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that tour. You just finished up the first leg. Second leg is coming up. In fact, for us here in Minnesota, you're making a couple stops. Looks like you're going to be in Duluth on the 8th of September, and then on the 9th of September down at the Myth in Maplewood down in the Twin Cities. And, of course, if people don't know this tour yet, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Scott, but it's Hugo from Tantric, it's 12 Stones, is it Crazy Town, Alien Ant Farm, You Guys, Saliva, and Trapped? Is that the 7 bands?
That's correct. Those are the staples. And then there's select dates with POD and Puddle of Mud and Drowning Pool and and sometimes, like we've had gigs booked, so sometimes there'll be a few slight deviations, but
right.
For the most part, that's the staple lineup.
What's it like, I guess, hanging out with other bands and having that kind of a library of bands that are on tour? What is it like to hang out with fellow bands like that?
Well, the thing about it is we've all toured together. Hell, Paul from Saliva, he was in my side project.
Right.
So we know these guys really well. We're all friends. So it's just kind of like we've all got a million stories, and we're all always trying to one-up each other. It's almost like Animal House. And I'm just fine with that.
You're just absolutely, you are. You're one of the original members from the band Saving Abel. Let's talk about that for just a minute in that. And the transition, I guess, that you had to go from Jared Weeks to Scotty Austin, your singer. I guess, how did you feel that transition went between Jared and Scotty?
I think the transition was it's just like a testament to the human spirit, man. Eric and Jason and I, the 3 remaining originals, sat down and had a talk. If we're really going to do this, how are we going to do it? And our manager at the time had a great idea. And quite honestly, I don't even think he cared if it worked or not. He just wanted to make some money. He's no longer with us.
Okay.
But he just he was like, well, let's just do this. And he said, let's just not even tell people. Let's not even do a press release. Let's just keep the train rolling. And we didn't know if it was a good idea. It was we just rolled the dice, brother.
Right.
That's what we did. We didn't know Scotty that well.
Yeah.
So we were like, what's the one thing that maybe we never got to do because we were kind of controlled by labels and people were trying to make us so top 40, I guess, for lack of a better reason. And we're very active rock,
right?
And Southern rock at that.
Yes.
We said, let's keep it Southern, let's keep it heavy, let's go a little edgier, maybe. And so Scotty was the perfect fit for that. But it's not like we held rehearsals. We just went. We hit the road running.
Right.
And I think the transition was about as smooth as it could have been, given the fact that we had no idea what the hell we were doing.
Well, I tell you what, I've seen you with being fronted with Jared, and I've seen you being fronted with Scotty, and, nothing against Jared. He obviously the original voice of Saving Abel, but the energy that Scott brings to shows, I think, is far superior than what Jared brought.
I think that you nailed it. I mean, the thing is, at first there were a lot of haters because people want to hear that polished voice.
Right.
They want to hear it sound the way it did on the records. And the thing about it was, I mean, yeah, those records sounded great, and Jared's voice is incredible.
Right.
But that's not all there is to it. You know, there's the element of the show, and what Scotty brought made us step up our game aesthetically, as far as not sonically, but just aesthetically, like visually.
Right.
You know, you see Scotty freaking out up there. It's like, all right, I better start freaking out too. You know?
I was gonna say that it seemed like your game has stepped up a little bit more too. Not just you itself, but the whole band's game since he has come on board. So that definitely is showing more energy to the band, and maybe a little bit of revitalization to this band too. Would you agree on that?
Well, I think the revitalization definitely came from two guys that came into the band, because Scotty brought his drummer.
Right.
And when you have these two guys that finally feel like they've gotten their shot, you know, Eric and Jason and I have had our shot. You know, it's been 10 years at this point. So we've been out there doing the damn thing. When we brought them in, we had been doing this for 7.5, 8 years,
Right.
and we were worn out and tired. We've already seen the world. You know, we've already gotten our gold records. You know, we can say we did it. For them, it was a chance. And so, I mean, we did this for a year in the van as grown men. 6 grown men toured the country like 5 times in a church van. And I think that their hope and their spirit is kind of what kept it going, because they were like, guys, this is our shot, you know, let's do it. And that energy is kind of what allowed us to transition so seamlessly into what we are now.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that, especially seeing you a bunch of times in that. And, you know, it's got to be difficult. And I've talked to bands that are up-and-coming bands and bands that have been around for 15, 20 years. And let me ask this question to you. Rock radio. I know rock radio back in the day, I think, was pretty friendly to Saving Abel. You had some great hits. How has rock radio been for you guys right now?
Well, it's almost like I feel as though we need another hit, not necessarily the likes of Addicted,
Right.
but something with Scotty's voice that captures the energy, but still like that southern thing that Saving Abel is. So rock radio keeps playing our old stuff.
Right.
And we're looking, I mean, you know how radio is. Like, it's tricky, and sometimes it's a game, and unfortunately it's not always just about the music, and I totally get it. I mean, it's all business at the end of the day. So the way we handle radio is we just try to make sure that radio remembers we're still the same dudes. Our heads haven't gotten any bigger, and every time we get a second to go home, we're trying to write and create new music, and we feel like we're on to really good stuff, but we haven't had any singles chart, and we haven't really had anything that we feel represents it properly. You know, radio is constantly changing, it seems, and we don't want to change with it. We just want to sound like us.
Right. And that's the big thing right there, trying to keep your identity to what you've always been, not changing to what people want you to in, say, corporate America.
Yeah, I mean, we get asked all the time, you know, why don't you guys go country? We're like, man, are you serious? Let's talk about the content of Addicted. You think that's going to play on country radio? You're crazy. I don't know what that song's about.
I love it when they try to have actually edited it up. And what was it, Rolling Around in the Sheets with You? I think they did one for pop radio. Didn't they do it something like that?
When you're rolling around with me.
Yeah, that's what it was, right?
Yeah, it makes me sick, you know.
You know, unfortunately, that's sometimes the way it has to be. But you know, it'd be nice to see you guys. And obviously, we've spun a lot of your stuff. I mean, I love the new stuff that with Scotty. Obviously, the Bloodstained Revolution, Love Light Suicide, 15 Minutes of Fame. What's kind of going on right now with a record? Is there a new record in sight here? What are we looking at here?
We've got about 4 or 5 that we feel pretty good about. They're not necessarily in the can, but they're close. We actually recently paired back up with Skid Mills.
Okay, yeah.
He did the first 3 records, so we're really excited about that. And he really digs Scotty's voice, and I think if anybody can capture it on the production side, it's Skid Mills. He helped. We always said Skid was the 6th Beatle. He was part of the band just as much as we were.
Right.
So we're going to try that out, and I think he's got some great ideas. Actually, I just sent him a couple ideas recently, and he wrote me back. He was like, dude, that guitar riff is like the next Thunderstruck, is what he wrote me.
Nice.
So I have no problem with that.
Very cool. Very cool. We're talking with Scott Bartlett, of course, with the band Saving Abel, a band last year that was at Halfway Jam, and you guys rocked the stage, had a lot of fun there, and I think the fans up here enjoyed your show. Do you guys enjoy playing festivals?
I think festivals are great. I mean, it's all those people, especially when we get to 18 Days and Addicted, they're all singing it, because stations like, you guys have had our back.
Right.
And everybody knows it. And that just kind of validates the last 10 years of my life. Sometimes it's really tough because it's all throw and go. You don't have a lot of time to sound check. Before you know it, you've got some intern on the monitor board trying to figure out how to turn up your fader, and then all of a sudden the set's over, and you're like, okay, I hope I didn't suck.
I've heard that before. I have, honestly. I get you there. I get you. Say, how about you? Let's talk about you for a minute, Scott. You've actually been working out here over the last year or so and getting kind of buff on us, haven't you?
Well, I was like a competitive weightlifter growing up.
Yeah.
So I was always kind of like jacked, and then college happened, and I gained like freshman 50. And then when I signed, I guess I was like 25 years old. You can see the picture of me. The only unfortunate part of it is that I'm wearing an Affliction shirt.
Okay.
Like one of those guys.
Yeah.
And I was just jacked. I was totally buff again. And then when we rebranded, Eric and I drove the van around the country, literally 5 times, pulling a 7,000-pound trailer. So every 2 hours we would just switch.
Right.
So he and I basically did not sleep for a year, and we didn't eat right. We both kind of ballooned, and at the end of I'd say around Christmas time last year, I was like, something's got to change. So I did a freaking 10-day juice cleanse and lost 30 pounds.
Nice.
And since then, I've lost probably 15 more, and I'm just trying to stay on it. I've already gotten the cardio in today, and Eric and I just found a gym here in Boise, Idaho that's going to let us in.
Nice.
We take a picture with them. So thanks for noticing, man. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to stay up on it.
Not that I'm looking or anything, but I know a lot of people that are listening are huge Saving Abel fans. Plenty of women out there, too, I'm sure. I'm sure they've said a few things, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm actually doing all right in that department. You'd be happy to know I saw Jason working out yesterday.
I've noticed that it seems like he's getting a little buffer. Is that true?
Yeah, we're all just trying to. I mean, again, it's competitive even within the band. We all want to look better than the next member,
Yeah. Well, did Scotty have something to do with that? Maybe.
Well, Scotty's just got that thing that we don't have.
Yeah.
Scotty he's not like necessarily buff. He just doesn't have any body fat.
Right.
So people see the pictures and they're like, whoa, and then they see him in person. They're like, whoa, you're like 125 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay,
that is true. That is true. Hey, one question I always love asking bands, and I'll ask you this question. I think I've asked Jason it too, but if you had to put together a 3-band bill to go out on, like your ultimate 3-band bill, so Saving Abel's hanging out with some other bands, who would you really love to play with?
Do you know what I think would be a great bill? And I say this because I've been seeing the Shinedown thing.
Okay, yeah.
And I love Shinedown. We've played with them, and we've played with everybody at this point. But if we're talking about contemporary rock bands,
yeah,
I really think a world tour with us, Blackstone Cherry, and Hailstorm would dominate.
Wow.
Just imagine that, dude. Because Lizzie loves her frickin' Southern rock, even though that's not what they do.
No.
They almost bring an element of it if you listen closely. And then, let's be honest, Blackstone Cherry, I mean, that's a Southern rock onslaught.
I got turned on to Blackstone Cherry about 10 years ago or whatever it was, and and I saw them live in concert. Oh, man, they are awesome.
They hit hard, dude.
Oh, and speaking of hitting hard, AJ from Hailstorm, he hits hard, that drum kit.
He hits real hard, and you know what? When he saw us play last time, he came up and he goes, dude, your drummer hits really hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if you're going to say that, then that means he hits all right. Now, the cool thing about my drummer is that he was born deaf.
I knew that. That's right. When we met him, Steven. Yeah, absolutely. And, he is an awesome guy, too. That's the one.
He's cool.
The one cool thing about this interview that I'm doing with Scott Bartlett here is all 5 guys from Saving Abel, great guys. You can just have a beer after the gig with them, and you guys do that too. You go out and hang out with the crowd. You're just because you're on stage doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. You're just out there having a good time.
Yeah, man, I feel like as soon as you lose that, you become that guy. None of us want to be that guy.
Absolutely. Hey, one more question here before we let you get going. I know you got to get working out there for your show tonight. Let's talk about this question I love asking, too, about covers. And if you had to pick a cover, pick a cover for Saving Abel, who would you like to sing a Saving Abel song if you had any artist out there in the world to sing a Saving Abel song?
Chris Stapleton.
Ah, a little country action, huh?
Yeah, because he's got, man, look, I live in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's the birthplace of soul music. And
Yep.
you cannot tell me that dude does not have soul in his voice.
Okay. So what song would you want Chris to sing then?
Mississippi Moonshine.
Ooh, yeah. You should be able to make that happen, right?
Yeah, I know a couple guys that work in his camp. One of my best friends in the world actually got the gig of a lifetime. He's Justin Timberlake's guitar player.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun.
Because Timberlake's from Memphis too.
Yep.
And my buddy Elliot Ives is like one of 2 guitar players for him on those world tours, and he writes and records with him and Usher. I mean, it's freaking crazy.
Right.
And he was telling me about playing with Chris Stapleton at those CMA Awards.
Yeah.
When Justin Timberlake paired up with Chris Stapleton.
Very
he
nice.
was like, man, I heard that dude sing, and I just looked over. I was like, I didn't think I was in Nashville anymore. He goes, I thought I was in Memphis.
Well, that's what we need. We need Chris Stapleton to play a Saving Abel song, cover it, get that on the radio, and then Saving Abel come out with a brand new album, some new stuff in that, and get you guys back where you belong in the top 40. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. I'll sign on that.
All right, let's go. It's good. It's a wrap. Hey, Scotty, a lot of fun chatting with you. Looking forward to hooking up with you again sometime soon here. And any final comments to your fans here in Minnesota?
Yeah, you guys are the best. You've been there since day one, and thanks for weathering the lineup change with us. We never really wanted to be one of those bands that did that, but now that we've done it and y'all are still with us, I mean, we have branded ourselves. Us 5 have SA tattooed on us for life. So thanks for sticking through Chapter 2, and hopefully there's a lot more chapters to come.
Very cool. Where's those tattoos branded, by the way, or shouldn't we say?
Mine is mine's not in an X-rated spot.
Oh, okay.
It's on my right forearm.
Nice. Hey, Scott, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to chat with us and kind of get us caught up on Saving Abel.
Absolutely. It's great to talk to you again.
Once again, that is guitarist and, of course, one of the original members of the band Saving Abel. That is Scott Bartlett.